So please continue. So to start the program, I would like to once again recognize tonight's presenting sponsor, Camelot Health. I'm sure all of you know Camelot and the great things they do in this community. And they're an integral part of the fabric of Gaston, not just leading healthcare, but also a dedicated partner to the business community, where they're fostering economic growth and development within our county. They themselves are a pretty strong developer, and you all can see that right on 85 in Belmont and in Gaston, where they just opened up, I think, first patients in today. Yesterday, first patients in the new tower. So they're a great partner, and it's through their state-of-the-art facilities, compassionate healthcare of their professionals, and community outreach programs. They consistently exemplify excellence and genuine concern for the welfare of our residents. So please join me in thanking Camelot Health. Thank you. So we are honored this evening to be joined by our keynote speaker, Christopher Chung. In 2015, Chris joined the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina, known as the EDPNC, as Chief Executive Officer. He brings more than 2 decades of state-level economic development experience to this role. As a public-private partnership, the EDPNC is responsible for a number of economic development functions on behalf of the state, and Chris has been a good friend to Gaston throughout these years. Not only is Chris dedicated to the vibrancy of North Carolina's economy, he's also equally enthusiastic about tonight's event. And he shows that because he started his day at a meeting in Nags Head, finished that at 10 o'clock, got in the car, and drove 3/4 of the way across the state to be with us tonight, which I greatly appreciate. So welcome, Chris.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm really happy to be here this evening, not just because of the lovely venue, the lovely weather, the lovely fellowship, but as I told Patrick, I was terrified that this tuxedo that I'm wearing tonight has sat in my closet untouched for 5 years. And I was like, I will be there if the tuxedo fits. And I'm so happy that it does fit 5 years later. I managed even to remember how to tie a bow tie. I maybe got a little bit of an assist from YouTube late this afternoon, but it's a great opportunity to get dressed up and to echo the invocation speaker. You all clean up pretty nice this evening. As Patrick mentioned, I did have the opportunity to start today in the Outer Banks of our state, speaking to a similar group that is, of course, like you all, very interested and passionate about helping their communities. And while it was a long drive, 6.5 hours, give or take, it's just another reminder that in my job, I really get that lucky privilege of seeing just the incredible diversity economically, geographically, and demographically that North Carolina offers. I'm not a native of this state. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, but my wife and I have been here for 8.5 years. We've raised a couple of young daughters who are native North Carolina born, and again, I'm really lucky on nights like tonight, not just to spend time with you all, but to be reminded of the beauty and the diversity that North Carolina represents. I don't expect a lot of you probably have ever heard much about our organization until the past 5 minutes, so I'll spend a couple of minutes out of the 20 or so that Patrick has given me just to tell you a bit about EDPNC and what our organization is privileged to get to do every day on behalf of North Carolina. We're a nonprofit organization. We're based in Raleigh, like a lot of state organizations are, but our work, of course, takes us all over the state. And really, our work is about improving the economic well-being and quality of life of the 10.5 million people who call North Carolina home. If we are doing our jobs well, at the end of every day, the economic well-being and quality of life of the average North Carolinian is hopefully a little bit better than it was when we started our job in the morning. The way that we approach that is probably the more important thing. A number of things that we do on behalf of the state include recruiting companies in from outside of North Carolina to set up their operations here. We work very closely with folks like Donnie and his team all across the state. We work with existing companies to help them to grow. We help a lot of our small and medium-sized manufacturers to grow their global sales through the power of exporting. I had the chance to meet Henderson Wise tonight from A.B. Carter, who's one of our very satisfied clients who benefit from some of the export assistance work that we get to do all across the state. We help individuals who are looking to start businesses take that first step down the path of entrepreneurialism. And last but not least, we're responsible for promoting North Carolina as a tourism and travel destination. So as Bob Clay told me, Christmas Town and the big celebration they have every year in McAdenville, when people come into North Carolina for things like Christmas Town, they're injecting a lot of economic activity into our state by the meals that they dine at, the hotels that they stay in, and of course all the money that they spend when they come visit our state. And we get the opportunity to promote and market North Carolina every day, not just as a business location, but as a travel and tourism destination. So all of that work, if we're doing it well, then hopefully folks in Gaston County and the other 99 counties see a noticeable increase in their economic well-being and their quality of life. That's really what the EDPNC gets a chance to do every day. And that's why it's such a pleasure to be with you all tonight as you all recognize and salute many of the employers who are at the heart of the Gaston County economy. Patrick asked me to talk a little bit tonight in the few minutes that I have about what are we seeing at the state level. As we go out there and do this work on behalf of North Carolina every day, what are some of the things that an audience like you all might be interested in knowing that we see? And even though we do these very diverse functions of tourism promotion and small business startup support and exports and existing business growth and business recruitment, I'm actually going to spend most of my time on just one part of that mission, which is our efforts to attract companies in from outside the state. It tends to be that area of our work that gets the most attention. Audiences like this tend to want to know the most about, well, what goes into that process, Chris? How does North Carolina make its case that it should be the best location for a company to come in and set up operations? What are you seeing in terms of trends and activities? And so I want to take a couple of minutes to talk just big picture about what we see unfolding right now in that type of work all across North Carolina, and then perhaps close with a couple minutes of how does Gaston County fit into that bigger picture of economic development, especially the recruitment of new industry and new jobs to the state. So if you'll permit me to do that, I'll take a few minutes here, and then I recognize I'm really just the appetizer here before the main course of recognizing some of the brightest and best business leaders in your county. As I said, a lot of our work every day is going out there and trying to convince companies to come into North Carolina. When companies are in growth mode, or they're looking to relocate from somewhere else in the country or in the world, we're oftentimes the tip of the spear at the state level in making the case for why North Carolina, of all the states that these companies might be considering, North Carolina is the best possible location for where they should go. And as I said, we team up a lot with our local partners. Folks like Donnie and his team are indispensable allies in that work every day. But what are we seeing in that realm of business recruitment? It's a really exciting time to be doing economic development, especially this work of trying to attract employers and industry to our state. The reason it's exciting, I mean, I've been in this for 26 years. It's always been an exciting, fascinating career, and I'm lucky to have found it at the point in life that I did. But it's uniquely exciting at this moment in time because when you take a step back and look at how the bigger, broader economy in the United States is changing, there are some fundamental shifts going on right now that are very much in the background of the work that we do every day to attract companies to come here. And the best possible example I could give of that is one of the things that we see the most right now is as we go out there and hear from companies every day that are thinking about North Carolina as a potential growth location. We've got something like 240 of those active deals that we're chasing right now, all across North Carolina. 240 companies that we get the chance to, right now at this moment, convince that North Carolina is the best possible location for them. 1 out of every 6 of those projects is coming to us from the automotive industry. And it's not just automobiles, it's electric vehicles and everything related to that particular industry sector. If you turn on the TV right now, you watch commercials, I guarantee you within about 2 or 3 commercial breaks, you will see an advertisement for an auto company that used to make gas-powered cars, but is now shifting into electric vehicles. There is a tremendous push, not just across this country, but around the world, by the automotive industry to move into electric vehicles and vehicles that are not powered by conventional gas engines. And whatever one's politics are about that, the industry itself has chosen to go down this path because that is what they believe the market is going to be demanding in the very near future. Now, federal governments and state governments are supporting and pushing that along at an even faster rate, but the fundamental change from companies to go from gas-powered vehicles to electric vehicles is creating unprecedented opportunities in economic development for states like North Carolina, because guess what? For these auto companies to sell millions of electric vehicles, those aren't made anywhere today at the scale necessary to satisfy the kind of demand that's projected in the automotive industry. The batteries that go into these electric vehicles are not manufactured at the scale necessary to support this transition. The components and the raw materials and minerals that go into the batteries are not processed, mined, and produced at a scale necessary to support the eventual transition to this industry. And in each one of those categories is where the opportunity lies for North Carolina and communities like Gaston County. Because as those manufacturers from around the country and around the world think about where they are going to establish that very critical production capacity, we have a tremendous opportunity to make the case that North Carolina is the best place for them to create those tens of thousands of jobs and make those billions of dollars of investment right here in our state. And you, in Gaston County, have the opportunity then to make the case that this county, of all the 100 counties in North Carolina, is the best possible place for this next generation of automotive manufacturing to come to. And that's why it's a really exciting time to be doing this kind of work on behalf of North Carolina. We are getting opportunities to compete for the types of jobs and investment that I cannot recall in more than a quarter century of doing this kind of work. You also look at things like semiconductor manufacturing and the push by our Congress and our presidential administration to bring more of that stuff back to the United States so that we aren't dependent on overseas countries. That's good economic security, but it's also tremendously important for national security. That's all playing out in the background as well, and that's going to spur a whole lot of job creation and investment that will land somewhere in the United States, and we hope that that somewhere is North Carolina, and we get the chance to go out there every day to make that case to the companies that are thinking about where to do this. And that's why it's such, it really, I was talking with my wife the other day, it really is a unique time as the economy transitions in these big picture ways. It's a really fun, fascinating, and very busy time to be doing this type of work. Now, where does Gaston County fit into this? Obviously, the Charlotte region as a whole remains one of those areas of North Carolina that tends to get the most attention by the companies that we're trying to convince to come to North Carolina. You can imagine the Triangle, the Charlotte region, the Winston-Salem, Greensboro market, those being our biggest markets around North Carolina, tend to get a disproportionate amount of the looks by companies that are thinking about locating somewhere here in North Carolina. So of course, Gaston County benefits from being part of the Charlotte region. But more specifically, Gaston County, in our experience at the EDPNC, I'm not going to toot Donnie's horn too much, but surveying our team before tonight's event, I asked our business recruiters. These are the folks who are on the front line every day in these conversations with companies that are thinking about North Carolina. I said, tell me the first couple of things you associate with Gaston County. And I said, one, don't, excluding Donnie, right? Like everybody thinks of Donnie when you think of economic development in Gaston County because such a known quantity, and he and his team do a great job. But more importantly, what our team thought of was proximity to Charlotte, excellent collaboration between industry and the community college through the Advanced Manufacturing Center, strong partnerships to develop workforce for the industries of today and tomorrow, a robust base of existing industry, proximity to the airport, all of these things, ready sites, basically having the kind of industrial real estate that can accommodate these many manufacturing companies that we get a chance to convince every day. Gaston County has done a tremendous job over the years in making sure that they are well prepared for whatever opportunity comes next. And of course, undergirding all of that is the efforts of organizations like the Gaston Business Alliance to ensure that this is a competitive local market that has smart growth policies that set them up well to be the home of today's industries as well as the industries of the future. And that's a really potent combination that you all should not take for granted, because that is not the case in the other 99 counties across the state, and it certainly is not the case everywhere you go around this country. You all have a tremendous advantage right now, given the opportunities that I've talked about that are presenting themselves, given your unique location, assets, and advantages that you have to offer. These next 5 years represent tremendous potential for areas like Gaston County that sit within a very big, thriving, fast-growing metropolitan region, but that still offer tremendous advantages from a cost, accessibility, and convenience standpoint. That's really, at the end of the day, what I suspect Donnie and his team hear about in terms of Gaston County, but it's certainly what we associate with this part of North Carolina as we're out there pitching all 100 counties to companies who are taking a look. And as I said, that's another reason for me to feel incredibly optimistic and excited about not just North Carolina's future, but the future that you all are building here in Gaston County right now. That's a little bit of a look of what we're seeing at a statewide level. It's a little bit of a look at where I see Gaston County tying into some of these different opportunities. I really appreciate the warm welcome and the chance to address you all at this important event tonight. Congratulations to all the award winners that are about to be recognized in this evening's program. Appreciate the warm hospitality and the chance to get dressed up a little bit on a random Wednesday evening. But most importantly, let me just say, as someone who does this work all across the state and someone who depends on local communities that have the support that they need, thank you for taking the time to support the Gaston Business Alliance, for taking your Wednesday evening, even if you may like to get dressed up in tuxedos and ballroom attire. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules. You could just as easily be sitting at home and having a nice, relaxing evening, but you're choosing to come here to spend your time, to spend your relationships, to support the efforts of Patrick and his team to make Gaston County a better place for business. We can't do our work. We can't be successful at the state level with that kind of commitment that comes from each and every one of our 100 counties and all the thousands of communities that make those counties up. And so let me just say, thank you very much for what you all do to ensure that Patrick has the resources he needs to be successful in his mission, because the more successful he is, the more successful this county ends up being, and we really appreciate that at a state level. So again, appreciate the warm welcome from all of you. Looking forward to hearing all of the winners get recognized today for their contributions. Appreciate the hospitality tonight. Thanks all.
Chris, thank you. Can we have another round of applause for him? He was great. It's really exciting to see what's going on, and it is exciting to be here in Gaston County. So it's fun to see all the changes, and it's fun to see everybody here tonight dressed up. Good evening. My name is John Forgan. I'm with First Horizon Bank. I'm the president here in the Charlotte region for the bank. We've been around since 1864. Serving the region that we live and work in every day. We strive to support the community through active involvement and philanthropy, along with helping to support our business and personal clients in the market we live and work in. On behalf of First Horizon, we are honored to sponsor the Spirit of the Economy Award tonight. This award is presented to a company or individual contributing to the overall economic development efforts in Gaston County in North Carolina. Tonight, I had the fortunate opportunity to be talking about Hannon Orthodontics. If you've been in the county at all, you've probably been touched by Hannon Orthodontics in some way, your kids and your families over the years. And you start thinking about it, you start talking about Dr. Hannon is joining practice by his twin partners, Dr. Stephanie and Dr. Justin, as they continue the family tradition of improving smiles. Hannon Orthodontics has been creating beautiful smiles for 35 plus years to thousands of patients and loves having the opportunity to treat generations of families. Dr. Steve Hannon is a Rotarian for 35 years and has served on numerous boards here in the county, including the Gaston College Foundation
and the Gaston County Heart Association, Holy Angels, and Tech Works here in Gaston County. The Hannons have been faithful supporters of Holy Angels for more than 35 years and have made a difference in the community as well. I was at Holy Angels today talking with Carrie and the folks over there, and I brought up their names and excited to recognize them. They said, what a great board member they've been and really important community leader for us. So it resonates with Holy Angels. I'd like to ask Dr. Stephanie Hannon-Stauning and Dr. Justin Hannon to come on stage to present the award this evening. Please come on.
Thank you all so much for having us tonight, and thank you for honoring our practice with the Spirit of the Economy Award. It is a privilege to receive it, especially among the crowd tonight. We know that everyone in this room has given back to Gaston County, and we are humbled to think that we are joining the ranks of the best companies and leaders. From Will Current Sr. to Parkdale Mills, Standard Distributors, Bar Yarns, Senator Hoyle, and Donnie Hicks, to name a few. This award speaks volumes of the character traits associated with it, and we are grateful to be receiving it tonight. I think it was Sir Isaac Newton that famously said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Thank you for paving the way for Justin and I to learn from your experiences and welcome us as peers and not just kids who grew up in Gaston County. Speaking of standing on the shoulders of giants, Dad and Mom, thank you for letting us stand on yours. We wouldn't be here tonight without you both. For those of you who don't know their story, Susie and Steve got married on a hot weekend in July, and the following day they moved their entire lives from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Gastonia without knowing anyone here. Pulling into Gastonia, they made a trip to Cox Road to see the new building where our dad would start practicing orthodontics, but arrived to find an unfinished structure and a big pile of lumber and steel. I think I would have turned around. They dug in and worked really, really hard. As our late Grandma Dorothy would say, even though they went to great schools, they graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. Little by little, Susie and Steve grew the practice, always with the central tenet of giving back. It was a key theme in our lives and often discussed in our family meetings. For those of you that don't know, they had 5 kids under the age of 5, and as a new mom of a 12-week-old, I can't imagine how that actually works. Our mom, Susie, always says, it takes a village. The team that our parents found to work with in the practice had giving hearts that matched theirs. And soon the original group of Smile Makers was visiting Holy Angels dressed up as the Wizard of Oz to entertain the residents. That was more than 30 years ago, and since then, our parents have continued to set the example that you always give more than you receive. With the help of our incredible office manager, Leanna London, and our team, it is our privilege to continue to be active in Gaston County schools, local sports teams, and in the arts. In humbly accepting this award, Justin and I are giving you our word to continue to serve Gaston County, to continue to pursue being good doctors to our patients, and with the highest and best efforts, continue the legacy of our parents in the community. Thank you all so much.
It's funny, as Stephanie was talking, I had this, this tells you what a family business Hannon Orthodontics is. Anybody that knows the Brachiosaurus was like our dinosaur, and we used to stand on Cox Road, and it would be in the summertime, and if we had nothing to do, the good doctor had us in the dinosaur jumping around and dancing. So that doesn't tell you what kind of a family business you're working with here. But, it's an honor to be here tonight. Our mission at Hannon Orthodontics started with the big guy, and basically we wanted to create, and he wanted to create a practice that you could take in any city, anywhere in the world and be the best. And that's what we strive to do. I think that's what we do. The core of the business is still every day to do good. And that means for our patients, it means for our staff members. And we're lucky enough to have Leanna London, Sharon Davis, two of our core people who have helped make Hannon Orthodontics what it is. So to do good by staff, team, patients, our focus is if you do that, then you get rewarded along the way. So what we do is we try to do good in our communities, and we support the local organizations that we can to do our little part to help keep propelling that on the way. So I love what you were saying earlier about the macro part of North Carolina. I feel like we're the micro part of North Carolina. And every little area that we can do and we can push, that's what we do. So I'd be remiss without saying this, but our mentor, our dad, our mom, amazing human beings, right? We are so lucky. We also have 3 rock star siblings that didn't decide to be weird tooth people. They are also amazing. 2 of which are here tonight, John D. and Catherine. Amazing. You didn't come to hear from us, we get it, so we'll stand down, but a big congrats to our mom and dad. We couldn't be more proud to continue on the tradition like Stephanie said. Thank you. To the award winner.
You lost. We tried.
This is a wow and far beyond. And to be recognized by this esteemed group is just overwhelming. So thank you. And thank you for the kind words that were said. And I wish most of those were true, but nonetheless, I appreciate it immensely. You know, I love the name, the spirit of the economy. And what really is the spirit is the people here that make the economy. This town and this area has excelled forever in that. And I just want to take a little segue and just talk about how we got here. And you know, some stories already floated about that tonight. But basically, Susie and I moved here, and we didn't know a single person. And there was this goodness all around. We visited several communities around Charlotte. As I said, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and we knew that the steel industry wasn't doing so hot, and that they really needed Chris's help over there. Just didn't know it. And it was time for a change, certainly for me. So as we started out, we said, we'll go to the Charlotte area and look around. Well, we talked to people in different communities. We came to Belmont and talked to one fellow who was a dentist, and he said, you know, he was telling me it was just such a delightful place to live, and the spirit of the people is what made the difference. I said, that's fantastic. And along the way I asked him, I said, is there anybody around here who kind of knows all the people and all the stuff and what's ahead and what's going on? He said, if there is such a guy, it's probably an attorney in Gastonia. His name's Joe Awala. And Joe is someone that many of the people in the room have the pleasure to know. But, I called Joe that same day, and he was very kind. He said, come and see me tomorrow. So the next morning, I'm there sitting with him. And as I talked with him, several questions. What would you like to do? What's the vision? What do you see ahead? And then finally he says, do you have any banking relationships? I said, no, I don't. And he said, come with me. So we stand up and we go for a walk down the block. And Joe walks me into the Citizens National Bank building. And we go in the elevator and go up to the second floor, and we walk into the president's office, which is Chief Pearson. And anyway, they obviously were friends, a warm greeting, sit down and have a little conversation. And after about 10 minutes, Steve says, "What can I do for you?" And Joe answers for me. You know, I met Joe that morning. And Joe said, "Steve needs some money to start his practice." So he says, "How much do you need?" And I tell him the amount. And it was a paltry sum by today's standards for sure. And right away, he doesn't say anything to me. He picks up the phone and he goes, "Alex, Steve Hannon's approved, you know, for a loan." So he didn't see my driver's license. He didn't see anything. I was who I said I was. And that spirit of giving people a chance is what I really am talking about. That people are given a chance. And likewise, the dental community, when I came here, so many of the people, and I'll be forever grateful to them, they would say, "We remember what it's like to be the new guy in town. So we're going to help you out." And there was just a great number of people who gave me exactly that type of care. Someone that something that you could never ask for, but it was there, and it was there in abundance too. So it was just a great start for it, but that feeling in our community has always been there. It's still there, and that's what I like so much about it here. We can go on, or I can yak on forever about good things that have happened. But again, I keep going back to the spirit of our community. My other takeaway in life for sure is that no one gets there by themselves. It's not just showing up and having some good fortune and having luck. When you're surrounded by your family, people who are your wonderful friends, and occasionally an angel walks into your life, that really makes the difference for you. And I would love to just take a moment here and recognize my family, because they've been the most wonderful, wonderful supporters and maker of the joy of my life forever. So if you would, I want to start with my wife, Susie, who is just... I swear the word sweetheart was coined to describe her. That's exactly what it is. But there's a never-ending fountain of love that she gives, not only to me, not only to our family, but to all those around her. And we thank her for her example and her consistency, and mostly that giant, giant heart you carry around with you. And also, you've heard from my partners, Justin and Stephanie. They happen to be married to the most wonderful people. Justin's married to Rachel, who is here tonight, and Stephanie is married to John Stauning, another sensational guy, and we're just delighted he's part of our family. And then our son John D is here with his wife Haley, and we're just so tickled that, with all you have going on, that you would be here as well. And additionally, Catherine and Christopher are here. Catherine is our youngest daughter, and Christopher Pearson, the grandson of T. Pearson, who made me my original loan. I want to recognize somebody who, and I hope everybody in the room here has somebody that they could say this about. Somebody who has rooted for me every second of my life, from the moment I was born. And that's my sister Kathy, who is here. And, you guys mean everything to me, and that's the way it is. So there's also a couple other people I would like to recognize. Their names have been mentioned already, and they know who they are, because they know the esteem in which they have. And those would be Leanna London and Sharon Davis, who are with us. Especially when I say nobody does it alone. You might have a concept, you might have an idea, but you have to have people who can run with that, but bring their own goodness to it. And that's the part that I've benefited so much from. And their consistency, their vision, and the willingness to get not only the job done, but make people elated that they came to see you. That's what made the difference. So I say the most profound thanks to you. And one thing that they have in common too, by the way, is they're both married to dynamo guys too. It's funny how that kind of works together, but thank you both for that. And finally, I want to talk about one other thing that has come about in my life that is so good, and that is, I said occasionally an angel will appear. Okay? They come in all different forms, trust me. They don't stand there with wings on us, I can assure you. But they come in ways that just enrich your life and make the world better at the same time. I'm talking about John and Beth McGill. These are two of my dearest friends on the planet who, John and I have been friends for ages. I don't want to reveal it beyond that, but the number of adventures together would include everything from baseball camp to travel. But he certainly, as he was introduced to me, again by Joe Olala, he said, Steve, you're going to need somebody who's really brilliant, hardworking, and determined. I have a guy, and that was John McGill. And no truer words were ever said. And his angel, again, is Beth. And what they do for our community is overwhelming. I think, we probably only know fractionally the good that they do, but they are truly busy all the time. I have some other angels that I know about too, and I'm just going to mention them briefly here. But Dan and Laurie Ness fit that bill too. And they were people who just give constantly to our community. And I think their style is to do things quietly, but massively. And I appreciate just being able to look over their shoulder and see what greatness looks like. So thank you for the work, what you do. And then the last person I have on my angel list is Terry Cox. Terry is our executive director at TechWorks. And TechWorks is our entrepreneurial station here. We've incubated over a dozen businesses to go out in the community, and you graduate from us and go on to bigger and better, with more employment, more people, and more ideas, and more accomplishment. We've had over 3,000 people that would qualify for better and higher jobs. And this is just a great initiative. And Terry, you have been the blood and the soul and the hard work and person who has worked day and night to make that happen. So Terry, you are that other angel I refer to. So thank you so much for that. The last thing I have to say is it's a quote from Warren Buffett, and it's so apropos for this group. And it is, someone is sitting in the shade today because someone else planted a tree a long time ago. And I feel lucky I'm sitting in the shade. I think many of us are sitting in the shade. But I also think everybody in this audience has planted trees. So let's grow a forest here. Thanks a minute.
Well, first I'd like to say congratulations to Dr. Hannon and Hannon Orthodontics. So I don't know who thanks you more, myself or my team, for those 6 years that you put me in braces. And when you speak of Teak Pearson, you could not be speaking of a more finer man. But I will remind you, that was what we call it, as the bankers in the room call it, those are old banking days. Good evening, I'm Jen Thomas, and I serve as the market president for Truist. My teammates and I are honored to be here with you tonight to once again sponsor and present the Spirit of the Carolina Awards. Truist is a purpose-driven company. Our purpose is to inspire and build better lives and communities. This is our why. It guides us, motivates us, and influences everything we do. The Spirit of the Carolina Award is in alignment with the Truist purpose. It is designed to honor the individual behind the business and the success of a company who has demonstrated leadership within their industry and citizenship through their actions, helping to build a better community. Our mission drives how we act on our purpose, focusing on providing distinctive experiences, creating inclusive and energizing opportunities, and embracing safe and sound practices for our clients, teammates, and stakeholders. We achieve our purpose and mission by living our values: trustworthy, caring, one team, and happiness every single day. These are purposely words deliberately chosen to reflect positivity and inclusion. And my teammates and I are committed to bringing our purpose, mission, and values to life by delivering a truly distinctive and better client experience and by serving in our community. Thank you, Steve and Madison, for thinking of Truist as a partner for this lovely evening. So sponsoring tonight's award is a little more special as we are honoring an individual that I not only think of as a business leader, client, advisory board member, community partner, but also as a friend. So to introduce our award winner, I invite Stephen Long to the podium.
Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it greatly. It's nice to be introduced by someone that she just said is not only a great partner for our business, but a great friend as well. So, for those of you who might not know me, I am the much younger brother. And I have been waiting for this opportunity for 42 years. The exact date was April 21st, 1981. So growing up the younger brother of an all-star athlete, when you are not one, is difficult. But I'm not bitter. In fact, I've come up with a partial list of other things that I am not bitter about. His high school baseball teams won conference championships and made it all the way to the state championship series. Mine did not. He took approximately 11 years to finish his degree at NC State with a barely marginal GPA. I graduated with honors in less time, and no one cared. He was always going to work at GSM and talk about it incessantly with our parents growing up. I did not. He gets to GSM first. I end up with residential. I mean, just look at us. And I'm the one that inherited the family high cholesterol. When called Joel mistakenly on occasion, I have programmed myself to say, okay, I get it. I'll get back to the gym as soon as possible. At GSM, he's the bull in the china shop pushing forward. I'm pulling back on the rope, hanging on for dear life. The only compliment I can attribute to him is when someone occasionally asks me, are you Renee's husband? But seriously, there are a lot of decisions we get to make in our lives, but we don't get to pick our parents or our siblings. And in my case, I struck gold in both instances. Growing up, Joel was 3 grades ahead of me, so that meant his high school years coincided with my junior high years. And this is back in the day when high school here was 10th through 12th grade and junior high was 7th to 9th grade. To say that an older brother and his friends were influential to a junior high age kid would be an understatement. I paid attention to how he acted, what he did, how he treated other people, and was greatly influenced by him and his close friends. A few of those guys were Stephen Bryant, Trey Craig, Rich Starr, and Mark Brannick, to be specific. If they had gone down a different path, I most likely would have followed. I couldn't have asked for better role models. Most of the time. Then we had a couple of years that did overlap at NC State, and of course, if it really took him 11 years, I would have graduated before he did, so that's not really what happened. But it was the same overall story at NC State. Great role model. Then we get to GSM. Again, the place I was never going to work at full time. And that was 30 years ago. Somewhere along the line, we became acutely aware that the third generation is normally the one that destroys businesses. Because of what our parents had built, we were partially motivated and led by the astronaut's prayer, which says, "Dear Lord, don't let me screw this up." As business partners, I think we have survived to this point, and I repeat, to this point, because I have no doubt about his intentions. Family and business together can be extremely tough. I have never doubted his intent. Maybe just his methods on occasion, but never his intent. Out of fear or ignorance, or maybe both, we have just kept going forward with Joel normally leading the charge. Leading is the key word here. Have you ever heard the story about the two friends having a picnic by the side of the river? Suddenly there's a shout from the direction of the water. A child is drowning. Without thinking, they both dive in, grab the child, and swim to shore. Before they can recover, they hear another child cry for help. Both friends jump back in the river to rescue the second child. Then another struggling child drifts into sight, and another, and another. They can barely keep up. Suddenly, one friend wades out of the water, seeming to leave the one alone. "Where are you going?" demands the one still in the water. The other answers, "I'm going upstream to tackle the guy who's throwing all these kids in the water." Well, Joel is that guy going upstream. If you ever have read Teddy Roosevelt's The Man in the Arena, Joel is the man in the arena. He's the one asking, "Why not us?" And he's the one saying yes. He accomplishes things with pure will and a foundational conviction that is both admirable and irritating. As someone involved in the community for the last 20 plus years, I'm extremely grateful for that will and conviction. He has helped our community leap forward in so many ways. As his brother and business partner, this will and conviction can be exhausting as hell. But this is how things get accomplished. I believe I know Joel pretty well. My guess is he's looking at that list of past recipients of this award and asking himself, what in the world am I doing here? Over the years, him and I have had short discussions in the past that if we could accomplish half of what our parents have accomplished and impact half the people they have impacted, we would consider ourselves fortunate and successful. Well, you belong here with those past recipients, and you have made an impact like our parents have. Actually, you have made more of an impact. You've done it, and you continue to do it. The fact is, communities cannot thrive if they don't have a few Joel Longs in them. Our dad would probably think this whole event is a little absurd. However, I also believe he's beaming with pride right now as his younger, not bitter son is introducing his eldest son as this year's Spirit of the Carolinas recipient.
Let's get it now. I was afraid of that. Now I've got 14 pages written and he just messed them all up. I'm gonna do this. Son, younger, smarter, obviously you can tell I'm a blessed man, right? First, Steve and Susie, congrats. I told Steve earlier, it's a massive honor to just be included in the same event as you guys. We've always looked up to you guys and the work you do in the community. I really loved how you framed how you got to where you are, not by yourself. And everything that's ever happened to me to get to this point is because of other people. It really is. It's really amazing when you look back. And Stephen's exactly right. I've looked at that list of the previous recipients, and I don't know, it's just hard to imagine being on that list. But thank you. Jennifer, Truist has been our bank forever, BB&T, and I think all the way back was a Southern National, way before Jennifer was. It was before her time too. But Jennifer, there's a ton of incredible bankers in this room. But Jennifer Thomas, you got big banks like a Truist, and with the merger and everything, and as a business owner, you worry about the personal banking relationship. Jennifer just reinstilled my trust and faith in personal banking, and even at that level. And so Jennifer, if you need a good banker and you don't have one, go see Jennifer. So listen, I've got about 45 minutes of thanking people, and then just a couple minutes to touch on something else that Stephen already, that he talked about in a lot better way than I will. I want to thank Patrick and the staff. The GBA, the GG, the Gaston Chamber is an organization that does incredible things behind the scenes and doesn't want credit. And sometimes that's a tough place to live. When things are going well, nobody thanks you. When things are going bad, it is your fault. And so we have an unbelievable leadership team at that GBA, and we owe them a huge round of applause. I did laugh. All of you have had this phone call. There's 3 people here that called me about 2 months ago. Actually, Natalie Kendall calls. I look down, and I've known Natalie forever. And I look down, and it's Natalie Kendall. Oh, Nat, hey, what's up? And Natalie, you know how Natalie, hey. And she did a lot of small talk, and I got a little nervous. And she said, hey, John Lowry and Eric Clay want to take you out to lunch. And I went, what did we volunteer to do? Nothing, we just want to talk to you. And I'm like, Natalie, what did we volunteer to do? No, we just want to talk to you. It was such an honor for you guys to take me to lunch and let me know about this honor, especially for you 3. If you don't know, John Lowry is a guy that has pushed me forever. And he's one of those guys that behind the scenes cares about this community so much, and he drives us. And it's always with good intention. So John, my hat's off to you. Thank you, my friend. Stephen, I had written down some things to say about you. Yeah. Smarter and better looking. One of us is brains and one of us is brawn. Okay. We have this penguin and the seal thing at work. You got, anyway. Which one's which? One of the things I've gotten to do in the last couple of years is travel all over the country as, in our association, some leadership I did there. And I met business owners like myself that are in business with their brothers all over the country. And none of them are as lucky as I am to have a brother partner who agrees to get out on that limb and shake it with me, no matter how hard I'm shaking it before it gets there. But always catches me when I'm falling and puts us in a better position. So I love you, brother, and you know that. Thank you. We kind of joke about it. We're opposite in so many ways, but in all the things that matter, we're identical. Somebody like me, I think men a lot of times, we're loners. If we really think about it, we get up, we do a lot. Men, we're alone a lot. If you're fortunate, you have one friend, one partner that you can trust no matter what. And I've got one, besides Stephen. And this guy I've grown up with, Wes Stiers over here, he introduced me to explosives when I was 8 years old. our careers and our families have been in alignment. We both grew up here in Gaston County. We both went to NC State, some sports things, but we run small businesses that are very similar in what we have to do. And so he's really a rock of knowledge for me. And if you don't know him, between these two, my superpower is surrounding myself with people that are smarter than I am. That's really my superpower. Really, it's fun and therapy as well. I think it really is. So, Wes, thank you, my friend, and to your lovely wife, Pauline, thank you for straightening them out. Thank you. Much love and respect from Howlin' Wolf. Along that same line about surrounding yourself with smarter people, there's a table over here of gentlemen and their wives that I run our commercial group, like Stephen said, and I chose it. I got there first, thank God. But there's three gentlemen here tonight that run our commercial group. And when I say run it, I mean they're passionate, they drive it, they lead it, it's theirs, they own it, they treat it like it's every minute of every day it's theirs. And the first one is Brent Farmer and his wife, lovely wife Jill, Brent, how long have you, you're old, how long have you been in for? I think pushing, Brent and I grew up together in the business, and Brent is the VP of our sales for our commercial roofing division, and he's basically the best guy in the Southeast. But more than that, he's a brother, and we love him. Scott Robinson is the head of all of our sales for the entire commercial group, and it's incredible what he will do to keep me straight. Fair enough, sir. And then Michael Ginther and Mary Catherine. Michael Ginther runs all of our commercial service groups. I want you to think about that, all of the roofing and air conditioning. Can you please give these guys a huge round of applause? And then there's another guy that's not here tonight because he's out. He has customers at Pinehurst. And all of you know him. Vernon Vaughn is the VP of our commercial air conditioning sales, and 15 plus years with us, and he has just driven us to be a better company in every way. So these gentlemen are the backbone of our success. I got to do a couple other things, and I told you the thank yous are going to be way too long. My father led our business technically for years, and then we had some really bad things happen to us in the 70s. Some people went bankrupt that owed us a bunch of money, and we were bankrupt. And my father refused to declare bankruptcy. And in the mid-70s, we were owed about $500,000 to him and had no way to pay it. And he decided to go to every single person that we owed money to and just say, give me a year and we'll figure it out. And the reason we survived is sitting up here at the front. The reason there's a GSM is the rock of our family is my mother, Judy Long, who came into the business and took over the finances, and that's how we survived. Is she still the backbone of the family now? Yes. Are we all still scared of her? Yes. It also was Mother's Day this last Sunday and her birthday, so her 40th birthday. And, to the other wonderful mother in my life, my wife Renee, who, Steve, just like you, I wouldn't do anything successfully without her and her backing, and raised our two wonderful children, Macy, who's here tonight, and our son Jake, who's finishing exams and is 5th on the list of grands now, probably, because he's not here. But we are blessed, and we're blessed to have each other, like all of you know, with our families. The other thing that's really happened to us is Stephen and I is our wonderful wives, and Janet here tonight. You guys have sustained us and built us up to the point that Stephen and I know we can do anything and have your back. And so we just love you for it. Thank you. And thank you for so much support for my sorry brother. Thank you. So I'm going to speed up here. Alex is here tonight. We have 4 of the 5 grands, as my mother calls them, and they are. Alex is the oldest. He's a recent Western Carolina graduate. He's a pilot. He's a Gaston Symphonic Band member, and he's leading our guttering team right now, which is awesome. He gets to work for me. He's loving it. Hannah is a graduate of App State as of this past Friday, and I think and there's some community connections. She started work today at the Gaston Aquatic Center. Rachel's a rising senior at Forest View, a star goalie on the soccer team. Right. And a cross-country star, and she claims to be the smartest and best all around of all the grandkids. And then our daughter, Macy, is a third-year student at UNCC. She's the entrepreneur of the family. She started a photography business when she was 16 and will undoubtedly be the owner of a coffee shop coming to a town near you very soon. So listen, I'm going to answer this publicly for all the kids. We don't know if any of them are coming into the business. I don't know if anybody's asked them that. Have y'all gotten that tonight? Okay, great. We hope, Steve and I pray the girls do, because the boys took after us. So listen, we are blessed people, and we're blessed to be in this community, and we're blessed to have the family. The proudest Stephen and I are how you guys are growing into the young adults you are, and how you care about each other, you care about this community, you care about each other winning before everything else. So we love you. So listen, I had to do that because you don't get this opportunity very often. Sometime along the road, and Stephen's right, I always wanted to come into the business. I did some things when I was 14 in our business, and I just fell in love with the people, and I fell in love with what we could do, and I fell in love with the possibilities of being successful. And in a lot of ways, my journey at GSM is the exact same journey I see in our county, in our community. When you look at your table, Stephen mentioned, we hand out these wristbands once a year at GSM, and it's always some slogan that we believe somewhere we need to go. It's a slogan about maybe where we are. In 2022, the slogan was love and accountability. We had just come out of a really tough year, and we knew that our people really needed to grow and be accountable, and so we focused on that. I tried to get Stephen to go with the beating shall continue, but he wouldn't do it. This year it's Leadership Matters. Leadership Inspires. We're in a position where we need to lead better, and we're going to inspire each other. On your tables, we talked about why not us, and then say yes. Stephen and I decided about 20 years ago that we didn't like the company. We didn't want it to be just a company that provided a service and installed air conditioning and installed a roof or something. We didn't care about that. We wanted a company that made a difference. We wanted a company that had a higher purpose. We wanted a bigger why. And I'll never forget, we were talking and we said, well, who's the best company in the region? We want to be the best company in the region. And we started laughing. We started laughing. We said, and then we started saying, well, why not us? Why? What would be a better mission than make sure all your people are supported to the hand's point, to make sure you make a difference? What's a better mission than getting up there every morning, going to work for a different mission than sending out a bill or starting up somebody's air conditioning, although that's awesome. But there needed to be a higher purpose. And I will say that day, and I wish it was my idea, but it was not, obviously. That day, we decided to be a different company for our people and our family and this community. And we had so much backing. John Lowry pushing, Bob Clay, people that were inspirations. I look at this list, and Frank Matthews, guys. Frank Matthews, every time he saw me since 1990, the first time I met him, he goes, how's the family? That was his first question to me every time. And then he would say, man, your business is awesome. Frank Matthews would say to Joel Long, I wish we had half the business you guys did. Why did he do that? He did that to inspire me to do more, to drive me to do more. 3 weeks later, he'd say, Joel, you need to go do this. So guys, I believe Gaston County, I've been so fortunate to be involved in things like the Warlick YMCA. A group of people in our community, 3 or 4, said, by God, why not us? Why not build the best YMCA in the country? Right? Right? I talked earlier with you guys, for 25 years we complained about having a terrible gateway when we come from Charlotte on 85 into Gaston County, right? Y'all remember? Remember all this stuff? We need to build it. Look what's going on. We're doing it. We're transforming the county into the best place to live, work, and play. I believe in the state, and I believe in the country, and I believe we're exceptional. And that's why I love being here, and that's why we do what we do. You guys inspire me. I'm preaching to the stinking choir. It's embarrassing up here. In my world, it's embarrassing up here doing it. My face is probably turning red talking about it. But thank you so much for this honor. I wanted to finish on, it's one thing to say, why not us, on all these things, but the real action takes place when you decide you're going to go get a yes. The why guys, and we call them the 3 Musketeers, or what, Gene? Once they decided they were going to do something, they went and got a bunch of yeses, right? Say yes when somebody asks you. I don't care how big it is or how little it is, whatever. Find a way to say yes and demand that people around you say yes and take them with you. Together, this group, we can do anything we want to do with Gaston County. So I'm going to finish on something else funny. So why not us? Yes. But the most important question from our table tonight, to let you guys know what the conversation was, if this is a major award, where's the leg lamp? Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
All right, we're done. Good night. So I was thinking of words as everybody was speaking up here, and just passion, integrity, energy, love. That is what Gaston County is. That is what the business community is. And we didn't even hear a dad joke from Stephen. I was kind of disappointed in that, Stephen. And oh, by the way, you share the same birthday as Eric Clay and I do. So I learned something today. So thank you all for being here. In the theme of we don't do this all by ourselves, I would be extremely remiss if I didn't talk about our whole GBA team who is represented here tonight, but specifically Madison and Megan. Where are you all working right now? So Madison says, here are the things I want you to say. I say, okay, I'll try to get that right. And then the rest of this just appears. Well, we all know it takes a ton of work and a lot of time to make this happen. Also, this is a tremendous venue. And I want to thank Deb Baxa for hosting us tonight. It's a great facility. Please consider using this facility for events beyond just corporate events. So weddings and birthdays and getting together with all your buddies and crime and probably not blowing stuff up. You probably don't want that part. But it's been a great evening. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for your tremendous support of our organization as we work in partnership locally and at the state level. And Chris, again, kudos for traveling 3/4 of the state to get here. So this concludes the program. We'll see you next year. Thank you very much.